We now return to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Alright. I understand Lord Van Zeeks is a friend of yours from your university days. Yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science. What was he like back then? Good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, all-around nice fellow, really. Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Baron Van Zeeks. What was he like when he was at university? Talk about a leading question, Runo. As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Van Zeeks family, with all its great aristocratic origins. I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood. Little darling. It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper of the Bailey, no less. Yes, that's right. I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation, as does tend to happen. Really? What sort of event? I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already. Yes, of course. If he heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zeeks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? You had no intention to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work, is that correct? As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear it. Yes, it's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention. So I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still, I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life. Not in a centillion years. I'm a man of science, it's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, all my life. I'm afraid I don't know much about science, or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law, that's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Are you mocking me, sir? When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything. Thank you for that, Professor. And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court. All right, Runo, it's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition. Sorry. Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it? Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate, at last. New location was added. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. I've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I've felt myself swooning 3 times. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times, too. Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through... we finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument. Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh yeah, go on then, Inspector. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it. Wait, I know those voices. You've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners. Just try it, I dare you. If you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat... Yoo-hoo, Gregsy, what are you doing up there? It's you. You're here. You here, your ladyship. How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable. I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author Iris. There are limits, surely. There should be. Watch it, sunshine. Sorry. What gives in? Don't tell me you're in on a case. You're on this case. Fucking read. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Oh, dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? A measly 5 bob. Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't you? You could stand to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Naruhodo. What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is. You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for the bother, 3 bob. To get the three pounds back for the 3 that she stole? This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket, or diver, born and bred in the East End of London. The case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, eh, Odo? Diver? Pickpocket? What's with all the name calling? Why are you talking out loud, too, you fucking bugger? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all that, do you? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. Ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. Officer years a long time. People can change, like my accent and my voice. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. What it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You held the fort down here, alright? Right, sir. This lady raises a lot of questions. Let's ask them, I guess. It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with the case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. Seriously, though, just based upon the previous dialogue and the constant breaking of the fourth wall, it's just like he's standing there, talking out loud, like a goof. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. Either that or it's like some weird aside that we're doing. And everyone else is just like, yes, I know, why are you talking to me? I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done. So you went from being a pickpocket to a detective. You got it. Good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'll get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him. Just a small promise then, nothing serious. Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how I had to go and at the test for fucking Scotland Yard's test. Christ, I can't do this anymore. Only trouble is, I don't read it so well, do I? Or speak, apparently. Just a small problem, nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregson and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her a sort of apprentice. It was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson. And brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. Great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So, the long and the short of it is, if you've got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Oh, what, Bruno? What? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper, and she hasn't died yet. A trial in which she was found not guilty. And yet here she is still. Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called? Cool, you know, I half worry, Odo. If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, isn't it? The Reaper's kind of like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. That I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be a stretch. What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly, so I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. Sure. Cool, was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. Oh, I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Ginny, with your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of keeping everything running smooth, I mean? The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. It's going to take some getting used to. And so all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up on one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. Oh, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. Where do I start? No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how could Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, right. Well, it was a success, in a way. It was. How can it have been? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke in that whopping great big bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there. What? In the tower? You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got in to start with. Really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. We don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right, with science? Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. Oh, I had 3 bob off you before, so fair's fair. Jesus Christ, that's expensive. Yes, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? Sketch of the experiment has been entered into the court record. Let's look at it. Okay. Sure. Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. What it's worth, anyway. Investigating's off the cards. Yes, naughty old Gregsy ran off after that without explaining himself. Yeah, right. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The Forensic Investigation Team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, ain't it? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. I thought I could have again there in the quiet, though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably ought to have given me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Odo. You say something to him, Odo. Go on, see if you can get it through to him. He's up on the platform above, is he? Where the machine that exploded is. We can try, can't we, Bruno? Bregsy will listen to us. Sure. Okay. Can I do this first, though? Because what the hell is this? Oh, it looks as though somebody dropped something from behind the tree just there. Dropped. Or hid. What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded? It's a crossbow. Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. The mysterious contraption is in the court record. Let's look at it, why not? There's nothing to look at. This kind of looks like a Gina contraption, actually. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. When was Tokyo Tower ever erected? There's a lot of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. Quite the building. But I heard you had to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Apparently everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. There's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. Okay, I think that's enough. We will move, I guess, to the... How do we do this? These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. I'm trying to. There we go. The Great Exhibition Grounds. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up. It must have been a magnificent explosion. I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. That might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Runo. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, it's enough about that. It's time to investigate. Sure. Ah, look, Inspector Gregson's over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. Examine. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air. Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this... Stop! Don't touch that! That was practically instantaneous kinesis, the way you flew over there just now, Gregsy. Please, your ladyship. Oh, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. So sorry, you can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector, so we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ah, listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that Special Dispensation. The professor mentioned that too. Well, red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Eh? Surely that's all right, isn't it, Gregsy? Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. Please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno? She really knows how to get what she wants. I guess we're talking, instead of looking around. Using high-voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body, and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. Son, you don't know anything about this period in time, do you? The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the odds for public safety infringements. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yes, I suppose that's true, in a way. The powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on the scientists' right at the moment. What sort of rights? They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were, right through developing it into a practical idea and even going into production, which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene, because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department of the Yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team. Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it. Poor Gregsy. He's very het up, isn't he? Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here? Are you having me at it, Sunshine? It's the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Yes, I think Harley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eyes, I remember. No, I'm sure he did, your ladyship, I'm sure he did. Best especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service, and if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun. It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon not think otherwise, after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas, if any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. The scientists get funding. Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I'll say it now, can't you? Hang science. Hang it. Oh, maybe I can see a point. Professor Harebrain. Apparently Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research. That's right, came back to Britain especially for the great exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today, about his time in further education. It turns out he was at university with someone we both know, Lord Van Zieks. Hey, what's that? That's news to me. But if Van Zieks mends the prosecution, then there's the accused. The professor's fate is sealed, because the Reaper will get him one way or another. Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper's completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, how long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder? The mystery of the Reaper. The victim of this case, the investor Mr. Asman, he was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Barrack Van Zieks is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court. The old man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if nobody killed them. I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Professor Harebrain mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zieks was a totally different person, easygoing and kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was? Probably whatever gave him that ridiculous accent he keeps talking in. No clue. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? Okay. Can we look around? I already looked at this. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. We should have a good look. Excuse me, a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything, and I'll make sure I'll kill you before I get strung up myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise. So please, spare a thought to your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? He asks, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly, the annoying, obstructing, flaming rules. Oh, look at the base of the machine there. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. It's a screwdriver, I think. Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of the capital letter A. It is? Oh yes, you're right. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touching anything, and I'll make sure I'll kill you before I get strung up myself, I said. Yes, I understand, sorry. I only touched it a teeny-weeny bit. But Gregsy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver. Really very, very curious. Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyships. Fancy spotting something like this. I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Bruno found it first. I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly. He's gone off with it. That was very mean. I'm afraid Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now. Poor Gregsy. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time. Oh, in your country, Bruno? I do wish I could go and see it. I'd present a particularly steely samurai with a present of one of Hurley's stories I'd especially written, and see if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Bartitsu master ninjas? Bartitsu? What the hell is Bartitsu? You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you think. Oh, well, that's dull. Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a Chonmogi top knot I could introduce you to. A Chonmogi? Really? Do you think I could have my picture taken with him? Do you? Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago, yes. What is that gigantic thing over there? It looks like an enormous water wheel. Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see. Why? Oh, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery. Wait, it's turning? But it looks completely still. Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour. If you were mad enough to go in one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think? I feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Bruno. It would seem that we have discovered everything. Okay, look a little bit more precisely and closely here just to make sure. Alright. Well, now what? I'd like to tinker around this place some more. Okay, we're not done yet. We present. Sure. As a detective, what do you make of this? Personally speaking, 9 times out of 10 our phone clues turn out to be red herrings. So there's every chance that's totally irrelevant. Not in this game. That's actually a fairly persuasive argument. As a detective, what do you make of this? Personally speaking, 9 times out of 10... Inspector, have you read this paper? Yeah, 2 unwelcome blasts back to back. It's one at the exhibition and the Reaper getting attacked. I know, terrible news to wake up to, wasn't it? I tried to pretend that I hadn't read it and turned over for another 40 weeks. Thanks to that, I was laid up and got to roasting from the super. Some mornings are like that, aren't they? And that's it. Jesus Christ, why is this one being so hard? Platform, government policy, special dispensation, Professor Harebrain, the mystery of the Reaper. Okay. But we don't have anywhere else to go to. Damn it. We've done all 4 of these. Talk to Gregson for more information. Examine the machine for the screwdriver. Receive another warning. Okay, but like... this is fucking annoying. Can I present a person? I don't have access to the people, no. I don't know, this is the only thing I haven't presented yet. This is the symbol of a defense lawyer where I come from, Inspector. No, it doesn't pass muster here in London. You may as well chuck it in the deep fat fryer. No one's ever said that to me before. Mr. Sholmes suggested I feed it to a dog, though. If you fry it first, you can feed it to me. Does he think it's made of potato? Okay, I don't know what to do here. This one is very, very, very obscure. Alright, well, I'm going to have to dig deeper on this one. Alright, apparently there's 2 things that I've missed here. There. Jesus. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Jesus Christ. This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right, it's a sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with the bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe I could have beaten Kazuma in Kyoto archery training. Sure. Kyudo? Kyudo. What in the shit? It looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using this device, then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. You keep saying that! I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. Alright. Well, now we have something else to show, I guess. As it did. Jesus. Alright. Well, that's not it. But there is apparently one more thing I forgot on the ground floor that now I can't get to. Because there's no damn stairs to go down. So, do I have to move out and then move back in? Let's do that. Let's move out and move back in. Not examine. That's one thing I have not been doing, actually, has been examining all the different locations that I go to. Hey, it's you again. Well, apparently... Can I not look up? It says there's a green piece of cloth. This thing. Oh, look, what's that? A ripped piece of cloth. It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. A piece of green cloth has been entered in the court record. Okay, good, good, good. It looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like this before. But applying Mr. Scholz's method, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who was really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. Okay, excellent. Fine. Great. And there's more. There's a horn device around here somewhere. How do you scroll up? Jesus. That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing toward the Crystal Tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing or to wherever they're going. I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Bruno. It was set up to beam people to the Crystal Tower, where they'll be reconstructed in their original form. Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course. I suppose that's true, yes. But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? So, those are people carrying balloons, dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly, but I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating Tamari handballs. I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Bruno, please. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it, but without a cast iron guarantee the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared. Oh, well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. Yes, call me crazy, but I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little. Okay, are we ready to go now? Jesus, what else do I have to unlock here? La 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 la. There has got to be a way to do this without having to touch the screen. All right. I don't know how to unlock this. I don't know how to get a new freaking location. Alright, well, we're down here talking about the crossbow and shit. Jesus Christ. This is fucking pissing me off. I've gone through everything, and it is not triggering. So there is something here that I have not looked at. Are we done yet? Jesus, I think we got it. Ryuno, listen. What is it? I've been thinking. Hurley might know something, mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Van Zeeks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. It may be, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Yeah, this is what you need. What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Two Spells. Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. Very close to Baker Street, actually. Could we go there? No, we could go now. We could go now, if you like. No. We don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yes. How is it that you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Ryuno. Madame Two Spells. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then stranger things have happened. When they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Finally, Jesus. This game has some very unnecessary obscurity to it sometimes. Sometimes it's just very hand-holdy and makes it very obvious, and other times it's just like, what the hell do you do? What is this place? We'll find out next time.